As far as I'm concerned, is 25 years of responsibility to the community.
CCTV, 25 years of...
Or I should say, we're Jack and Liz. We're here doing, WBZ News. No,
Oh my
actually, this is Robert Winters, and welcome to Inside Out. I'd like to introduce my co-host.
Okay, I'm saying hello from now on.
Okay.
Susanna Sagat here. And we are on Cambridge Community Television Marathon Day. We're showing 24 hours a day where we have this live cam. Can't talk either.
Do I have to run 26 miles after this?
Would you?
Okay, sure.
And we only have an hour, and this is our last half hour, and we have a special, we're inviting people to come in, and we're inviting people to call in. We're live, so the phone number is 617-876-0055. We're waiting for you to call us, so call us.
Right.
And what are we doing right now?
Well, we're actually going to speak for a little bit more with current school committee member Patty Nolan.
Ooh, should we bring her in?
Let's do that, shall
All right. Here she is. Come on in.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey.
Hey, wow, that worked. I am getting better at technology, aren't I?
You're just great. I'm glad one of us can do this. All right. So Patty,
Yes.
when we last met, ages ago, right? You were going to tell me something or two about what's the current.
Well,
hot
before
topic.
that,
Yeah.
let's get her name and what she's running for.
All right.
Oh yes.
Because we don't.
I can
people might have
say,
just
I'm Patty
wanted-
Nolan. I work for you now as a school committee member, and I'd love to keep working for you, which means I'd have to get rereelected on November 5th.
Ooh, that was good.
I
Okay.
like that. So you were going to tell us a little bit about one of the current topics, which was, I always mess it up a little bit, but was it called Extended Day?
Well, yeah.
Right.
What's going? What is that?
What is that?
So here's what I can say. First of all, what I'm talking about is totally unrelated. I cannot talk about the collective bargaining implications of any extended day or the teacher contract.
Oh, because it's open right now.
Yeah.
Because we're in negotiation.
Okay.
Well,
So what I can talk
we
about-
could go into executive session.
No,
and
no, we don't want to get
we
into
can't.
that.
We can't.
But what we can talk about is the issue
Okay.
of just a longer
Yeah,
school day.
Yeah.
Tell
What
me.
does
And
that mean?
that's what we did this week at school committee. We had
Okay.
passed a unanimous motion, which I had authored, to say, let's figure out a legal way for the community to discuss not the contract, not collective bargaining, but really to discuss this unbelievably important question of, do we need a longer school day? Do we need a longer school year? And let's involve the entire community.
So what does
in
that
it.
mean? A longer
So
school
what
day?
what this means to me is that we should bring the whole community in to say, a lot of people say we need more time in our schools. The question is, what will a longer school day get us? There's lots of research on it, and some of it is pretty compelling. It says, for instance, if you're doing something really well now, then extending the day can increase achievement. And I think that's the genesis of us saying we need to explore it. So I think the first question then for us is, well, are we currently using our day really well, and are we at the place where we think we should be for that? And if so, under those circumstances, we might consider extending the school day. Then there's the community ramifications. If we extend it, what happens to out-of-school time? What happens to all of the range of providers we have in the city?
The after-school program.
Right, because we had an open school committee meeting, a subcommittee, which was very well attended by the out-of-school time providers across the city, who said, we really want to be part of the conversation. And again, this is the conversation about the policy and budget implications for a potential longer school day, not related to what the specifics of any collective bargaining would
I have
be.
one naive question.
Uh-huh.
I'm really good at naive questions, which is, if we're talking about extending the day, how does the average Cambridge Standard School Day compare to other towns?
Well, that's really
Good
interesting.
question.
If you look at a national
I
level,
thought it was a naive
Good
question.
question.
well, it is a good question. It's an excellent question because we've heard both things. Like, we have the shortest school day in the state, and no, we're right in line.
All right.
I, of course, as you know me, what did I do? I
Data
did
gal.
the research.
There you go.
And I looked at a whole national study, and it turns out something really interesting, which is if you lay out the United States, the Northeast has among the shortest school days in the country on average. So our average school day is around what Cambridge is, which is about
Is that
6
because
hours
the
a
days
day.
are shorter in the Northern Hemisphere?
You know, no, we're talking California and Oregon, and so in the West and the South, that's different. So what's really interesting is if you compared us just to New England, we're close to average. If you compared us nationwide, we're shorter than average.
Right.
So what your question might be was just around here and in
Yeah,
Cambridge. It's interesting, compared to some of the private schools in Cambridge, we have a somewhat shorter school day, and yet if you total up the number of hours during the school year, they tend to start a little bit later than us, they finish a little bit earlier than us. So we're, again, about average compared to the private schools in town. Compared to other public schools, it varies. Some are 6.5. Chicago, I don't know if you know, just moved their entire district. They put through a longer school day.
No, I didn't know that.
So this is viewed as a very positive thing to just work on addressing achievement across the board. So Cambridge, compared to some of these other schools, there's 3 public charter schools in Cambridge. They have somewhat longer school days. But I would say we're about average compared to other districts around us,
Great.
maybe a little bit short. And we have our high school is 6.5 hours a day because we don't have time before and after school. A teacher shows up, the high school runs from 8:05 to 2:30. Our elementary schools, the instructional time is 6 hours, but the teachers are all there 15 minutes before and 10 minutes after. So again, this is coming up partly because people are really scratching their heads saying, what can we do about achievement? Will this help kids?
Right.
And I think that's an important question to have, and I think what I'm committed to is having, again, that policy and budget discussion open to the entire community so we can understand the ramifications of it. And if we're going to add time, what are the kinds of things we might want to do?
Now,
World language
Yeah.
is a really hot topic because
So world language is totally gone now, right? Is that true?
unfortunately from K through 5 it's gone.
We had it K through 5 and now it's gone,
No,
but 6
some
through 12?
schools had it K through 5.
Okay.
Some didn't. And the reason I say that is, which again, I will acknowledge, it's viewed as a broken promise of the innovation agenda because we said we would, after the innovation agenda or with the innovation agenda, improve world language
Oh, yeah.
offerings K through 5. Guess what? Didn't happen. Now, we had a lot on our plate. It's just that there may be reasons why it didn't happen, but the reality is it didn't happen and it had been promised, and there's a lot of people who feel it should be. And I can tell you, you want to know a great phrase for education? You'll love this, I know.
Okay, go ahead.
Monolingualism
Yep.
is the illiteracy of the 21st century.
I thought ontogeny recapitulated phylogeny.
You think about it, our kids, if they speak more than one language, right? If they only speak one language, they're going to be a disadvantage. So monolingualism is similar to someone not being able to know how to read
So-
in a competitive world where they're going to be up against families. Think about it.
Such a
So-
monolinguist.
But
So-
you are old enough, Robert.
So
that-
polyglot is good.
I think so.
All right.
8760055. I have one more question for you
Yeah.
on the extended
Then
school
we're going
day.
to have to hustle you out
And
of it.
then
Okay.
we have another guest coming. So when we're talking about extended school day, why does everyone keep trying to make people in the high school start earlier when all the sleep studies say that it's the little kids that wake up early, it's the high school kids who need to sleep in the morning. So why would we extend the day so that they come in earlier in the morning in high school?
Well,
What is that?
again, we haven't discussed any specifics, and I think that might go over into the realm of the exact minutes might be something subject to negotiation. But the point is, I think you're absolutely right. There's a lot of sleep research. In fact, one thing that Cambridge has is our high school doesn't start until 8:05, which is good, even though maybe 8:30 would be even better in terms of the sleep cycle of
Well, noon
adolescents.
is better for them at that point.
Having 2 teenagers at the high school.
I'm good with noon.
What I will also say is an unfortunate thing at the high school is we may not start till 8:05, but if you do any sports or if you're involved in any clubs,
Oh,
they
yeah.
all meet at 7 o'clock in the morning or 7:15. So in a way, for those kids, if you're a great achiever and you want to put 5 clubs on your resume, you have to show up at the high school. My son's in an a cappella group. They have their rehearsals before school because so many kids do sports after school that they can't find any other time to do it. So we already have a little bit of the issue with the clubs at the high school, which would be interesting to, and again, that might be part of the conversation. Should we start the school day a little bit later at the high school and have, then clubs get started a bit
There's
later?
a lot of moving
So
parts.
you also, I know from your service, you were also in there looking at research and asking those kind of policy level questions about what we should do.
And look what happened to me.
You are now doing this really cool live show with Robert Winters. I think that's pretty cool.
All right, you got 1 minute left, so tell people who you are and why they should vote for you.
I am Patty Nolan. Why you should vote for me is if you want someone who knows how to step back, synthesize the data, analyze it, who is courageous enough to ask questions, but also to push for answers and make sure that we involve the whole community in. I also think you should vote for me because I've had real success. Some people frankly say, Patty doesn't play well in the sandbox. Well, I couldn't have gotten everything done that I got done if I didn't do that. I collaborate with everybody on the school committee. There have been times when there's been some pushback, and you know what? That's part of our job. You know what, as I tell people, my job isn't to be a cheerleader. You pay us way too much money to be a cheerleader. You pay us a very good salary compared to other school committee members. My job is part cheerleader and part pushing and monitoring and oversight and part really thinking thoughtfully about how it is that we can improve things in Cambridge, and that's what I've done.
Do you want people to vote for you?
Oh, yes, vote number 1 for Patty Nolan. But remember, vote number 2 for someone. If I lose, you want that ballot to be counted. In fact, in school committee, I won 4 years ago by 19 votes. I was there for hand counting all 17,000 ballots, and I can tell you what got me in, not 1s and 2s. It was 3s, 4s, and 5s, and even 6s by the time I got in. And even last time, people said, "Oh, you did well. You're safe." I hate hearing that. Nobody's safe.
Nobody's safe.
And you know what? Last time I needed number 2s, and the time before I needed number 3s, 4s, and 5s to get on. So don't make the mistake of thinking incumbents are safe. The good news for democracy is in Cambridge, certainly on the school committee.
Lots of choices.
Yeah, if I was running for U.S. Congress, it may be different. But Cambridge
All right.
School Committee.
Well, we're really happy you came to visit.
really
We
happy
know
I was
it's a
invited.
time. It's a great time to go out and look for votes.
I will
Go
do
get
that right
those
now.
number 1
All right,
votes.
Patty.
Thank you so
much.
much for coming.
See you later.
Thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
All right, next we have another school committee member. This is a school committee day.
This is a school committee day. That's
Not
all
a
right.
member.
Oh, not a member. That's right. Not a member.
She's a member of the candidate class.
a member to be. Yes.
So
Hey, come on, come on
I'm
in.
inviting Joyce to here. You see her picture
Come on in too.
right here,
Yeah. both.
and we're getting her.
We may
This
have
is,
to.
I'm doing my technology thing here.
Well, actually,
hold on one second. You
we'll
can
make-
stand behind her.
We'll make you stand.
Joyce?
You'll have to stand.
All right.
If you stand, you'll actually be at the
So
right height.
we got her
see?
sitting in the right place.
Hi.
Ah, okay. Joyce is a candidate for school committee. Our phone number 617-876-0055, 876-0055. Call us.
And
So,
tell us who you are. Tell us who you are and who's with you here too.
My name is Joyce Gerber. This is my friend Zeb. He is my campaign manager. Yes, he is not my son. He likes politics and he likes me. So he believes in me. You can believe in me. I'm a candidate. I have 2 children in the Cambridge Public Schools. My son is a freshman and my daughter is a 7th grader. I am an attorney with a background in urban policy, and I am just one of those parents that kept getting more and more involved with our schools, and now I walk the streets of Cambridge trying to meet each and every one of you, trying to become a member of the school committee in 2013.
Joyce, what was that trigger that moved you from being being just a parent to being an active parent to now throwing your hat in the ring it's a really hard job to do what you're doing. Being a candidate's very hard. So there's a reason for it. What made you do it?
So we ended up at the public schools almost by accident. We moved to Cambridge before I was pregnant, and we ended up buying property, and literally the first thing my mother asked me was, "Where will you send your children to school?" And I said, "The public schools behind us are very good, and you hear a lot on the playground about what works and what doesn't, and I just wanted to make sure things were going well, and I was that person who kept showing up and realizing that we have really good teachers, we have really good facilities, we have an interesting reputation. Our mission of Cambridge is to educate a really diverse and complicated population, and my own children have benefited from our programs, and I think that needs to be heard by the people of Cambridge, that, you know, there are problems, obviously, nothing is perfect, but there are some really positive things, and that's really what motivated me initially. And I speak before the school committee on things. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. But you can go back in the records, you can see what I've spoken about publicly. And I actually watch school committee meetings.
They're fun to watch, aren't they?
I do all of it. So I'm an engaged, involved parent. I'm really part of this community.
I think I also have to point out that your kickoff event up at your house was the only one featuring a rock and roll band.
I have my own band. You know, if nothing else motivates you to vote for me, is I have my own band.
Right.
Well, are you good? Because if
Oh
you're,
no, it's not me.
No.
My son. I will say so. I am not musical. I tell people this all the time. I listen to NPR all day. This is really how Zeb's not
Oh,
involved
you're
with
one of
politics.
those. Oh,
I'm one of those people. But my son is a rock and roll musician. Do not hold NPR against me. My son is just interested in music. Music makes sense to him. Music is a language to him. Cambridge has a phenomenal music programs. We were lucky to be in a school that really engaged and valued that. He has friends who live in Belmont, actually, who are part of his band, and the musical community just isn't as strong as it is here. We really, and that's one of my
That's good
issues.
to
We
know.
talk a lot about the creativity and the importance of creativity in all our students' lives, and Cambridge is really investing in that, unlike other districts that are cutting programs and
that's really good to know.
divesting things.
Happy to
Right.
hear that.
Mhm.
So what are the main issues you like talking about in front of the school committee? What
Or
are,
or when you go knocking on the door.
oh, even better. What do people ask you?
Oh, there's a whole range.
Okay,
Uh,
good.
Sometimes I start with Zev when I tell him he's my campaign manager. That alone will get me a vote because I believe in the kids of Cambridge. I live in a house that Tip O'Neill lived in, so that connects me.
You're
actually.
in that house?
I'm not in the Russell
Well-
Street house. I'm on the Fairfield Street house, which is where he lived when he was young. I think he was 1 till he's 7, which I found out by mistake. We were on the Tip O'Neill tour of North Cambridge when Kerry ran, whatever that year was, and people stopped in front of my house, and literally, I'm like, why you stopped here? And I called the Historic Commission, they gave us the whole story. So last year, when they did Tip's 100 years, we were in that book. North Cambridge did a book about the 100-year
Yeah.
anniversary. Yeah.
Yeah.
That connects me to people. I always talk about issues. I really do talk about the stuff ad nauseum with my husband, who is probably tired of it. So he's happy I'm talking to you.
So electors, so that he can have his Tuesday nights free.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because as much as he loves the Cambridge Public Schools, he does not want to talk about it every single night.
All right, so you're door knocking, and what do people say to you? How do you start it? You knock on the door and what?
I always say, hi, my name's Joyce Gerber, and I think just the fact that I'm the candidate who's out makes a connection to people. Voters, sometimes people aren't invested yet. They haven't thought about the municipal election, surprisingly.
Yeah. Well, it's still a month away, right?
Yeah. So I tell them if they haven't thought about it yet, if they have no connection, I tell them about my candidacy. Sometimes they have children in the schools, sometimes they don't. If they aren't connected at all, public schools is really important to our community. I have a background in urban policy. Really quality public education is important to a good urban community. Those are, sometimes people have specific issues they're concerned about, and sometimes they just want to tell me a story or, explain how their experience was in the public schools.
So what brings you,
Yeah.
that one. Easy for you to say. What do you
Why?
bring to the table? Why should people vote for you? What is your specialty? What is your passion?
My passion is really academics. I talk a lot about academics, and I talk a lot about the creativity, which we talked about a little bit before, and I talk about family engagement. And these are all things I've been involved with for many, many years. Specifically, I talk about math when I'm talking about academics lately. I feel like there's and I am not saying this because I'm sitting next to Robert. I really believe this. Math is important. We really talk about social equity in this district, but if we're really talking about social mobility, a strong math education is important for all our students, and we need to make sure that is there, and we encourage it. This is the home of MIT. We understand that math is a language. It's a way of understanding the world. So we need to encourage those students.
That's often a sort of a dichotomy that people
Yeah.
push around. They say, do you promote excellence or do you promote equity?
You can't
Which-
say it different.
Yeah, but it's not. These aren't mutually exclusive, But I've been hearing it for years, and certainly the discussion about the leveling of classroom or heterogeneous classrooms versus homogeneous. I always mess it up.
And he's
yeah.
smart too. So.
Yeah, but still,
So what is it? Tell us what the difference is.
Specifically, so this is what happened last, when we created our new middle school programs.
That's the innovation agenda,
innovation
right?
agenda. We changed the format of the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And now there's a specific policy vote from the school committee saying that we couldn't group students by ability or motivation ever, and specifically in math, which is something that actually came to the table.
Just for those grades or for all grades?
They were specifically talking about 6, 7, and 8.
Okay.
because they are leveled when the time they make it to high school.
Right. What I say is that differentiate instruction, it goes on every single day, regardless of what the span of ability is in the classrooms. Our teachers are always differentiating the instruction. That's just the way you teach. I am not a teacher. I'm an attorney. I'm amazed by what our teachers do every day.
Mm-hmm.
But for many reasons beyond the reasons of our schools, there's a pretty wide discrepancy in ability and motivation within our school district. And there's a lot of reasons outside of our school, public schools, for that reason. Anyways, but if we are missing kids who are really advanced in some subjects, because I just don't believe math can be taught at the differentiated instruction at the range that we currently have in our middle school programs. But the teachers aren't allowed to teach who's in front of them. They tried to get around this problem last year. They had 2 teachers in our 6th grade class math program, which seemed to work really well.
To teach the different
Well,
levels?
just to make
or-
sure that you were focusing on both ends, that you weren't, the kids who were sort of moving ahead weren't told to go to the back of the room, or weren't sort of separated in a way. You want motivated learners together. That's how they encourage each other. You know what I mean?
And how do we afford to have 2 teachers in every classroom?
Well, we don't right now, so we're not. That was a sort of a transition in 6th grade. I think we do this kind of weird convoluted thing in middle school math education where we allow some kids to go to the high school and some kids to do this, and we kind of convolute ourselves around the fact that if we just let the teachers and kids who wanted to go at a quicker pace be together,
Right.
we're just not allowing them to do that. So I would like to give our teachers the freedom to make that decision. I don't want to mandate the minutia of how they run their classrooms, but at least if they have that opportunity, I think our math education could be stronger in our middle grades.
So will the next school committee be able to overturn that? Is that what you're saying?
I think it's a policy, that's tweaking on how policies work and how, they're constantly tweaking things. That's kind of how the policy programs exist.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's come up to vote at all this year. I don't think it has. But I've spoken. I mean, I went in December before the school committee and talked about this. I saw it personally. I have an 8th grader who was he's very musical, like we talked. He's got a very mathematically oriented mind, but he was sort of missed because he's not the kid who's going to go and teach himself astrophysics. He's just not that kid.
Yeah.
But he's smart. We got his MCAS back. He did really well, but he didn't pass out of 8th grade algebra. For whatever reason, I mean, it could be a lot of things, but I just think we're missing kids who could go on to accelerated math programs in the high school, but they don't recognize it in middle school. I think we're missing those kids, and I think that's a social equity, social mobility, directly related to that, academics. Was that a long answer? Was that?
No, that was very sobering.
Yeah.
So what are some other issues that people want to know about during this campaign?
I talk a lot about creativity. I just think creativity is so important. Like I said, a lot of districts across the state are cutting these programs. They don't think it's important, but we know. There was a really great TED Talk, I can't remember the man's name, talking about the importance of creativity in our kids' day and their development. And Cambridge is investing. Each year we're investing more, and we have really nice programs across the district that every kid can take advantage of within the public schools and some extracurricular opportunities.
I thought music was being cut. It's not?
No.
And art and
In
not being,
Cambridge? Oh,
no,
no,
that's being cut?
they added, actually, in the middle schools, they added additional band teachers, and they added additional drama teachers
I'm
last
so
year.
happy to hear that.
And
Yeah.
we're, our high school is phenomenal. Our high school has a reputation across the state. Of,
One thing I think I'm going to chime in on here is that, since I teach mathematics and I teach a Harvard Extension School class, we have 50 high school students actually in it. And it's remarkable to me how...
From our schools?
I think I have maybe 3 or 4 CRLS students currently, but a lot of students from Lexington, Belmont, whatever. So I actually get my own little lab here. I can kind of sort of look at all the different school districts sort of in my own classroom here. But it's remarkable to me how often it's the case that the mathematically talented students are also, they say, well, I have a conflict with the exam because we're giving a concert that night.
Oh.
It's
Well, that's
incredible
great.
how many mathematically oriented students are also very, very intensely interested in music.
And we have the great, the
I
Kodak.
played accordion when I was a child.
Well,
too,
that counts.
I'll bring it in next time.
It'd be entertaining.
don't-
Zeb plays the violin.
No, don't
Zeb,
encourage that.
Kind of close here.
I played the radio.
Actually, I'm not musical. The whole music world is a whole new world to me. My son's band won a recording session at a place they run a Hard Rock Cafe event.
Wow.
Yeah, they're good. And they won this event, so we got to go to a real recording studio. So I got to be rock and roll mom.
Wow. I'm sure he was really happy to have you there.
He likes to have me around here. I'm the band manager. I'm the band manager. I get their gigs. So if anybody out there needs a band, the Angry Toddlers are available.
Wow, that's like
but-
Scott Brown.
but-
He's
but-
his daughter's manager.
Is that right?
Oh,
But
and I never really thought of myself like Scott Brown.
But now if you want to work with the band, don't you have to go through Zev though?
For
I mean,
the
doesn't he call all the shots?
for the band.
Now, what is his role here? What's
What
happening?
I do?
Do you want to introduce yourself? What's your role?
Hi, I'm Zev. I'm the campaign manager. I do all the canvassing. I tell Joyce
He
where
tells
to
me
go.
what to do.
Right, yeah. I create voter lists for her of where to go, what doors to knock on. I work on the campaign literature and mailings that we send out.
Helps with strategy.
So,
yeah.
so are you taking a sabbatical from school to do this?
No.
You're still at school?
Yes, yeah. I play violin, piano. I do school.
And your grades are okay?
How are you in math, Zev?
Good.
We don't have grades yet. I mean, we have grades, but we don't have them yet.
But you're doing okay.
I love math. So that's
That you're
actually
doing
my
this
favorite
job
subject.
isn't hurting your education,
man.
right?
No,
Education's number one.
Education number one.
Education
Number
number
one,
one. So
absolutely.
where are you having her go today? This is a big day for getting out,
yes,
ready
yes.
votes. Don't tell us any secrets, but
Joyce is going to Avon Hill today.
Ooh.
Avon Hill, you know, Avon Hill has a rather interesting past.
Yes.
You know that that was also the place of public executions back in the 17th, 18th century?
I think I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
True.
I think I learned that last year on the Honk
It's a
Festival.
very upper crust neighborhood now, but
Yes.
Lineage Street, was it on Lineage Street or something?
yeah, just above Lineage, up
Yeah.
the top of Humboldt.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I didn't
Why
know.
is that?
But, you know, it was a
We're an old
prominent
city.
location. You know, it was the place from all of Middlesex County, actually, at the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some history in this show.
That's
Definitely
very
some
interesting. Oh,
serious
this show has
history.
it all.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's very good. So do you go with her door knocking?
Sometimes, but we like to take advantage of all our
Yeah. Yeah.
our our engines, and Joyce goes out, I go out with someone. I need someone to go with, so.
Yeah.
He can't go. He
But
can't go.
if I go, if I go with Joyce, then we don't canvas as much because if I go with someone
He's
else,
act-
then
he's
there'll be
actually
two
much-
out instead of one.
He's much faster than I am. He
Oh.
runs.
And how do you figure out strategy without telling us any secrets? How do you pick where the candidate should go and what she should do?
In a minute.
Yeah, because we end in 1 minute.
Oh.
So actually,
Yeah.
don't do that because we don't want any state secrets. So
Okay.
Joyce, you got 30 seconds to tell people who you are, why you're running, and what you want them to do at the ballot box.
Okay. Hi, I'm Joyce Gerber. Like I said, I'm running for the school committee. I am not on the school committee now, so you might not have heard my name before, but this is me. I believe in academics. I talk about the arts. I talk about family engagement. And I am a strong voice. I have a background in urban policy. I'm an attorney. I believe in the students of Cambridge. I've hired one to run my campaign.
He's good too.
So on November 5th, Tuesday, remember to make your number one choice, Joyce. Thank you.
Ooh, that's
Very
good. And then Robert, I think we're out of time.
I think we're right down to the last few. So
This
until
was a good day, Robert.
you
Thank
bet.
you.
Until next time, I'm Robert,
I'm Susanna.
and